Hey everyone, Estrella here. So today I want to talk about two things, and one is confirmation bias and cognitive dissonance. And the reason why I think those are very important terms that we need to know about ourselves and society and humans in general is because I feel like no matter what the topic is nowadays, if it's a social topic, environmental or political, whatever, it's about health or nutrition, I feel like there are these two fronts that are growing, and each has their anecdotes, their evidence, their anything, and they're just clashing against each other. And I feel like it's a freaking war out there, and it's hard to see two perfectly rational, amazing, loving people hating on each other so much. And so something that has helped me very much in my journey is to understand a little bit about myself and about these psychological, biological, chemical processes that happen within each of us, and that may differ from person to person, but the basics are always there. And one is confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is when we have the tendency to, when we're presented with something that underlines, accredits, confirms whatever it is we believe in, we have the tendency to just take it as it is and put it into that little cupboard inside your brain as that one extra thing you found that confirms that what you believe in is right. On the other hand, when you're presented with something that pretty much opposes everything else you believe in, we have the tendency to just absolutely dismiss it and or to take it and pick it apart and scrutinize it extremely. Like I find myself doing that constantly, and I know that I'm not alone in this. Like what I tend to do is I check out all the citations, I check out where the information is coming from, who's writing it, the background of whoever writes it, and I'll be like, oh no, this paper is written by so and so, so it's probably not that good, or that graphic, or there's a period mark missing, so this is obviously not done by a professional, or I'll find all kinds of excuses why this is not a good paper. And yeah, so I catch myself doing that, and I think it's just the easiest thing to just laugh it off. Like, just take it as it is. We are humans, and it is freaking funny, this tendency we have. And then I continue, I just continue picking it apart, and I think that's perfectly fine. Just be aware of what you're doing, and be aware that you are being a bit, or maybe a lot, biased, and maybe with good reason. I mean, I think we need to start somewhere. It's not like we can say, oh, we need to give up everything and give up identity. I think that's a process, and I think we need to start somewhere. And most of us, if not everyone, has a belief that they've built up around their entire life, depending on whatever they went through, their experiences, life in general, and goals. So they have their beliefs. And as we grow, as we evolve, as we learn our lessons and, have our crises, these things might change. Our values can change, our expectations can change, our goals can change, and that's perfectly fine. But we do have like these beliefs, and when something comes along and puts this in question, it's perfectly fine not to be like, oh, okay, well, I'll believe the new thing and just throw the last 30 years away. No, it's perfectly fine to actually, take that and question it, so it's fine. What you're doing is perfectly fine. There's nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to feel guilty of. This is just perfectly human. Just know that you do that. We all do that. We're all victims of confirmation bias, and there's no way around it, really. Like, I think anyone who tells you that you can stop this or eliminate it from your brain I don't think that's possible. We are human, we're not machines, and I don't think it's a bad thing per se, but what happens very often with these beliefs is that when we identify, which we often do, we identify ourselves more or less strongly with a certain belief or idea. And the stronger this identity is, the more internal conflict it causes when these are questioned. And that's where cognitive dissonance comes into play, because cognitive dissonance is exactly that. When you're presented with two truths that you realize, okay, they're completely conflicting, but they do seem valid, and then it's just like a freaking light show inside your mind, your heart, your gut, whatever intelligence comes into play at that moment. But it can be quite distressing. It depends, as I say, how much you held on to this idea. So for some it might be whatever, okay, fun fact. And for others it might be a freaking life-threatening experience. And we all know that when we feel life-threatened, we can show like our ugliest colors. It's like, don't mess with mothers either, because they can like destroy you, or dog owners. No, but just kidding. Kiddings aside. So when it feels life threatening and we haven't learned how to assess our emotions, how to confront them, and how to act with them, then we can be just big adult babies, just thrashing and crying and hurting everything around us, when all we want, is either attention or love or whatever. And I think it's important that we understand this about ourselves. So if you catch yourself getting extremely emotional because someone is questioning yours, respectfully, let's say, questioning what it is you're saying or believing in, and you act in an aggressive manner, then try to catch yourself. If you're lucky, you have friends who tell you this. If you've crossed some boundaries, then freaking apologize. Learn your lesson. Take some self-responsibility, get some guts, and just apologize and try to move forward. It's not a mistake if you learn from it. It's a blessing and it's a lesson when you have the strength to grow from something and to realize that you are human, you make mistakes, and you can learn from them. Doesn't make you a bad person. This happens. The same thing that happens to others. So there might be a topic that you are discussing and someone else just goes berserk, understand that this person might take it really harsh. Doesn't mean that you did something wrong. It just means that, I'm gathering that you did it respectfully. Maybe it's always two people sometimes, that they both didn't act correctly. But let's say this from the other side's perspective, it's, just this person might also not have learned how to deal with these emotions, and is also having this internal conflict, which can be very painful. So, just tell them, listen, you're insulting me now. This is very painful. And, I understand that this is a very sensitive topic for you because you've been, your life is involved in this, or you've been researching it for quite some time, or it's like your life's work. And I'm also quite a reasonable person. And I've come across this document because I think it's also quite valid, and but I don't feel like we can discuss about this right now. So I hope that you can come to me when you've calmed down, and I really hope that we can move past this and grow from this together. And that's it. And then remove yourself from the situation, because you do not have to stand there and let someone insult you. And and sometimes it's perfectly fine to choose your friends. It's perfectly fine to choose to surround yourself with people that lift you and that help you. It's perfectly good, and it doesn't make you a bad person. So sometimes you just really have to say goodbye to people who are just constantly hitting at you. Make space for good things. So that's all for now. Remember, don't feel guilty, never feel ashamed of yourself. Learn from whatever comes, and just take a little bit of humor. Take it with humor. I think we can all, we're just all humans and trying our own journey and doing our own processes. So and we can be clumsy that way. All right, much love. Mwah!